Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and we are on a victory late night show on the Hogstye. I'm gonna try and sound subdued, Steve. It's hard to contain, excitement after a win like that. But my wife is sleeping in the bedroom like 10 feet away, so I gotta contain it a little bit.
You can't be too excited. This is the best kind of Hogstye late night. Most of the Hogstye late nights we have are horrible games, and it's just miserable and
Right.
awful.
Well, we usually lose these games.
Yeah, how long's it been since Washington's played well in a Thursday night game?
Well, we beat New York on Thanksgiving a couple years ago. That's probably the last time.
Yeah, and before that was like when Moses was a child.
Yeah,
You
it's been a
know.
while.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we'll go over the stats here in a second, but remember what we told you guys in the game preview. It was who's going to make fewer mistakes. What
Yep.
happened? The Giants made more mistakes. The Giants
They,
lost.
they literally made one more mistake than we did in the end. In the very,
they
very
dropped
end.
a touchdown pass,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a holding call that I thought was a bogus holding call, but they got a holding call, and those two things cost them 11 points, and that was the difference in the game.
I mean, we can talk
You
about
know,
the reffing of this game
we're
being.
going. I'm sick and tired of the NFL refs. They
Yeah,
gotta go.
yeah.
Look, let's run through numbers here real fast.
Okay, let's start with the big one. 30-29. That's the number that matters the most.
Well,
I didn't mention
granted,
that yet.
that's the final score, 30 to
Yes.
29. Hopefully everybody knows that. Taylor Heineke was 34 for 46, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He
Mm-hmm.
was sacked 1 time. Had a quarterback rating of 99.6. Antonio Gibson averaged 5.3 yards per carry, 13 carries, 69 yards. And on the receiving side, Terry McLaurin went over 100, 11 receptions, 107 yards.
Yep.
That is, with a long of 18, that's 9.7 yards per attempt. J.D. McKissick, 5 for 83. Logan Thomas, 5 for 45. Adam Humphrey, 7 for 44. De'Ami Brown, 3 for 34. And Ricky Seals-Jones, can't forget him. Tremendous catch in the end zone, 1 for 19. And
That
Terry
was
Gibson, 2 for 4.
great work. You don't see tight ends typically get their feet down like that.
I didn't realize, because I haven't paid enough attention to him, to be honest, that he was a wide receiver in college. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the broadcast crew said. Again, I hadn't paid enough attention to him. On the Giants side, Daniel Jones was 22 for 32, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, quarterback rating of 102.2. He also had 95 yards rushing. Saquon Barkley, 13 for 57 with the long of 41. So you can do the math on what that averages out to without the long run. And in the air, Sterling Shepard, 9 for 94. Darius Slayton, 3 for 54. Kenny Galladay, 3 for 38. And on defense, the sacks were Kendall Fuller on the corner blitz. Montez Sweat had 1. And Jonathan Allen had 2.
Yeah.
And that is stats. And we're not going to play the Trustway game today, but he had 4 punts, 200 yards. So
Yes.
that's stats.
Yeah.
Oh, and can't forget Dustin Hopkins, 3 for 3.
Mhm.
He had the do-over, but he got it done, 3
Yeah.
for 3. And with the game-winning field goal at the end, that was 43 yards.
I mean, that mulligan moment that he got at the very end, I was holding my breath, still worried he was, because he had just missed one. How did that messes with the guy's head? Is he going to come out and shank it worse or something,
I mean, he told us when we interviewed him that it didn't affect him, but, I mean, what's he going to say,
Yeah. Everyone's human, right?
I remember we asked him, does icing the kicker matter? He said, I don't care, but I mean,
icing
again,
the
what else
kicker
is
is
he gonna
not,
say?
hey, you just missed the game winner.
No, I know. I
Yeah.
know it isn't. But, I mean, I just remember him saying it all rolls kind of off his chest. But, I mean, what's he going to say? Gosh, it really affects me. I mean, of course
Right.
not.
I would love to get his, hear what he's, and I'm sure he'll be interviewed today, and someone will ask him what was going through his mind after that.
To be honest, it looked like a bad snap.
Yeah.
On the 48-yarder. The snap was not on target, and I thought the holder Tress had a hard time getting it down. I don't know if
He
that
was holding it a
affected
little
or not.
offside.
Yeah, it was. It
I
wasn't
didn't
a very
notice
good
that,
snap by Cheeseman, I didn't think.
No. But they're always going to blame the guy kicking the ball. They're not going to blame the snapper or the holder. General fans, I mean. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Certainly.
All right. I think, Steve, let's talk about our defense first because I want to spend most of my time gushing about the offensive play, but
Right.
so let's rip off the bad band aid first.
Overrated. Clap, clap, clap,
Overrated, so
clap.
badly
You
overrated.
know what? Here's my take. I think this defensive front has bought into their own hype a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we spent a whole offseason, the entire football world telling them they're one of the best in the league and they're so fearsome. And yeah, who wasn't in OTAs? Chase Young.
Right.
And
He was busy
not that
shooting
that
commercials. Don't forget,
yeah,
that's why he
it,
wasn't
it,
there.
right. And that's okay. So he missed some OTAs, big deal. I'm just saying, as a mentality overall, I think these guys sort of bought into the hype. I have no evidence of that. It's just me mouthing off in Hogstye late night, but they haven't produced 2 games in a row. John Allen produced early in the game,
Yeah.
and weirdly, when the starting left guard went out, they somehow got worse. But the two ends haven't, produced a heck of a lot in 2 games.
No, I mean, Sweats had a few moments here and there today, but nothing. I mean, the sack he got credit for was kind of a team sack
It was a
situation.
chintzy, yeah, oh
You know,
yeah,
Young
yeah.
pushed him into it. Um, someone just drove by my house at like 50 miles an hour on a residential
At
street. That's always
midnight.
fun. Sorry, that distracted me for a second. There was a great play that Young and Sweat both made to stop that one run for what was it, 9 yard loss.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
was like they
it
have
was.
moments, but you can't like go quarters and drives without anybody making a move, and that's what's been going on. We knew the linebackers weren't going to be good, but they're worse than I expected, honestly. And I don't know what the root cause of that is. In the secondary looks clueless. I don't know what they're
Well,
being.
not all the time. I mean, William Jackson was in press man coverage a lot, and when you do that a lot, you're going to get beat sometimes. I mean, you just are. So
Sure.
I didn't. I thought William Jackson himself played fairly well. I mean, again, understanding it wasn't perfect. Kendall Fuller wasn't perfect. Daniel Jones picked that zone apart, on
Mm-hmm.
numerous occasions. You know,
Yeah. No, he did, and they got lucky on that deep bomb. Would have been the world's easiest touchdown, and
I don't know
somehow they
what
missed
was
it.
that Jackson or Fuller.
That was
At
Jackson
first
on that side.
yeah, I don't know what. I mean, my God,
I don't
I
know
don't know
where the
what he
safety
was
help was
thinking.
either.
Well, I mean, even if shoot, that was an amazingly bad play
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Jackson. I'm kind of erasing that play when I say he had his moments. I probably shouldn't give him that much credit because that was a terrible
You're
play.
blocking out some things.
I did
That's
block that play out.
yeah.
That was atrocious.
Um, I mean, look, if I'm Ron Rivera, I'm going to that defense and saying you're supposed to be the backbone, and this is pathetic. Like he's got to tear into these guys this week, and he's got 10 days to figure it out now. But
Yeah, with the mini buy coming up. I
yeah,
just again I just think kind of the front four is bought into the hype. Although I would like to pat myself on the back a little bit because in the written preview, I pointed out that John Allen was the player to watch.
mm-hmm.
The interior of the Giants defensive line was suspect. With the injuries with Will Hernandez being up and down and all that, and he produced 2 sacks right up the middle. So
Right.
God bless him for that. But yeah, this Chase Young Montez Sweat thing. Thus far, I mean, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with this, but I mean, they've underwhelmed. I guess that's a way to
Yes.
compared to the hype, they've underwhelmed.
Oh, massively at this point.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that. Uh, like we were talking about the secondary, I think they've probably, I didn't have the highest expectations for them. I think a lot of people were very excited about the secondary, but they've also underwhelmed, frankly. Like this whole defense has underwhelmed, and if it's the whole defense, to me it does point to something's going on. Something's missing in the coaching, and I don't know what it is.
I never thought that. I mean, you go back and listen to our old shows from last year. I never thought this was the second best defense in the NFL or whatever. They have holes, you know, uh,
But right
in
now
their
they're playing like a
production.
bottom five defense. That's my problem.
I mean, objectively, certainly they're. I mean, we'd have to look at stats for the numbers and whatnot, but I mean, certainly they haven't been good.
No.
They haven't been good. but I always thought that they were a bit deficient. They had they weren't very good in run defense. They were getting a bit too much credit for their pass rush,
Hmm.
and all of that is the truth here so far this year.
Well, I mean, when all right, so you mentioned the offensive or the Giants' offensive numbers. Daniel Jones didn't have a great day passing. It's not bad. It's an okay day passing. And
He had a
if you take
completion
out
percentage
his
of
running
about
plays, hmm,
67% completion percentage.
yeah, that
Pretty good.
that pain. But it's not like he put up over 300 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. Uh, then you take out his almost 100 yards on the ground, and the running backs didn't do a whole lot, honestly. You
Running
know,
backs, more accurately stated, did absolutely nothing aside
right?
from Saquon's one long run.
Exactly. So like numbers wise, it's not bad, except for the fact that we allowed 29 points by a terrible offense.
Well, it's not like it was a surprise that Daniel Jones can run. He's run on
Right.
this team before. There's kind of no excuse,
Yeah.
for letting
Why
it
does
happen
this
like
team not
this.
know how to stop a read option?
Why does this team in particular let Daniel Jones run up and down the field on him
Hmm.
seemingly every game?
Yeah. And by the way, all his runs come on the left side. It's not like he ever
Yeah,
can run right. You know which side he's going to make those runs on. Why isn't the
yeah.
left that linebacker ready? Like this isn't rocket science on that.
I mean, I think Jonathan Bostic is a league average linebacker. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's a good player. I think he's a player. He's a valid, legitimate starter, but he's not really a plus level player. A Cole Holcomb, I mean, he had 6 tackles, but impact none. Jamin Davis 4 tackles, impact very little. He had one
One nice
impact
tackle he
tackle.
had
Right.
to stop a third down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And look, I'm willing to be patient with the rookie. Bostic's, in the twilight of his career. Let's be honest. He's I think middle age, but he's not an elite guy, so he's probably towards the end of it.
I don't think he's in the twilight of his career. I mean, he's certainly middle aged. I don't
Yeah,
think he's in the twilight of his career, and I don't think he's a terrible player.
and
He does some good things. I think he's a legitimate starter. He's just not a plus level, guy. That's all.
he has a particular set of skills, and if you use him, it's not like a take in particular. Like if you use him outside his set of skills, he gets burned by tight ends for 22 yards. But if you just have him trying to focus on stopping the run, he's okay at that. But
We need to try to talk Rob Henson into coming back on the show one of these days to talk about Bostic because I'd really love to hear some expert opinion about this.
yeah, I don't know how much he's following the team with his new job and all that. So
Yeah, and not a lot. He was kind of mad at the team when he left us. So
yeah, I know, I know. Well, anything else you want to talk about with this defense?
no,
Anything?
the fun thing is the other side of the ball.
Yeah, let's go to the fun thing. Okay, so my one criticism on the offensive side, we need a work done on the O line, and that's clear. They are not giving, they did not give Taylor Heineke much time. They do, they're okay at run blocking, but that's there's some work that needs to be done there. But let's talk about what Taylor Heineke just did. We're talking about a guy who wandered on this team late last year after basically being retired. Our buddy
I wouldn't call him
Robbie, was
retired
telling us
quite.
about
I
him
would
for
I would
years, how
call him
great he was,
more.
but he never got that chance.
Yeah,
And now he came in and what was that? 336 yards
336 yards.
in what is like his second NFL start. That
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
wouldn't really
impressive.
say Taylor Heineke was retired because that would imply that he had played in the first place, which he never really did.
Well, he was a backup for a couple of years.
Yeah, he was certainly but yes, he was on his way out and
Hmm.
wandered onto the roster is not a half bad description because he was like, the remote quarterback.
Right.
And what has he done? He's had 2 games. I think he passed for over 300 yards against the Bucks. Did he not?
Yeah.
Last season. Um, listen, he's made a bunch of people believers. What's obvious to me is, and the announcers said it on TV tonight, Aikman and Buck, that he's made the players believers. What
Mm-hmm.
I think Heineke has done, he's just got kind of he's got an intangible quality about him. He plays with effort, he plays with heart, he plays with intensity. And I know that's non-specific and subjective, but he just seems to make the guys believe in him, and he cares. I like the way he plays.
Well,
He's got a pretty accurate arm. He doesn't make too many dumb plays. He doesn't have a great arm, as you pointed out,
no, I
but
mean, look, if you're going to be very technical about his play style, all his balls go high. I think that was noticeable today. Every ball he threw, was way up there. That's why you had to see Brown and Thomas and all these guys are like jumping to catch every catch because he just throws the ball high. That's partly because he just doesn't have the greatest arm in the league. But what he does do is what you're saying. He has heart. He's not giving up on plays. He's looking. All right, what's my next option? What's my next option? Okay, I can dump it off to this guy. Fine. But he plays with a legit sense of urgency even early on in these games. You can tell.
well, you know what he does is he also is unafraid to go downfield, down over the
Mm-hmm.
middle. Remember last year when we were like ready to hang ourselves because this team would like never, ever, no matter who was out there, Dwayne
Right.
Haskins, whoever else those bums were, yeah, Alex Smith, whoever else it was, um, they just would never look downfield. Taylor is totally unafraid to do it. He's
Mm-hmm.
totally unafraid to take chances, and not like in a Rex Grossman stupid way, but in a fairly smart way. He's a good quarterback. I mean, his problem has always been health. We'll see what happens, and he's got 7 more weeks, I guess, to do this. So hopefully he can stay upright. I mean, that's been his biggest problem from day one is health.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had that one point where he had what 10 passes in a row complete.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So even though I'm a little nitpicky about some of the accuracy issues, he knows where to go with the ball, and sometimes if you know where to go, that makes up for accuracy issues. So like that, I
Well,
think
I
that's
think you are
huge.
being nitpicky, to be honest, because he had a 74% completion percentage. And yeah,
Yeah.
were some of those passes high? Sure. Some of them were intentionally high,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
you
understand that
know.
too. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he didn't make too many mistakes.
No.
He really
Even
didn't.
the interception, I wouldn't necessarily say that's all on him. You
I
know.
mean, it was a quality play by Bradbury.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, it was a quality play that it happens. I wasn't too mad over the interception because, I mean, Bradbury jumped the route. He made a good play. What can you say?
Yeah,
It's the
I mean,
NFL.
I was mad because I was like, well, that just lost us the game at that time, But you know,
Yeah,
that's a
but I
different.
mean, in the realm of quarterback interceptions,
Yeah, yeah,
it wasn't a terrible
I
interception.
yeah, it wasn't a boneheaded play or anything, you
No.
know. Um, let's see what else.
Well,
McLaurin,
Terry
great,
McLaurin, I mean,
great game
Jesus.
by
Yeah,
McLaurin
oh
here.
yeah. I mean, anybody out there who doesn't think Terry McLaurin is an elite receiver in this league just doesn't know
Hmm.
what they're talking about or hasn't watched him. This guy just day after day, week after week does this. And yeah, he put up the numbers today, but even in games when he doesn't have the numbers,
Hmm.
he knows how to run routes. He knows how to create separation. He's got tremendous hands. We saw his hands today again, and had another great catch.
I mean,
Um,
that diving catch he had to get him in field goal range.
that's what I'm talking about. That
Yeah, yeah,
one.
okay, you're talking about that one. That was a.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like the one he had last week, but it's another beautiful. Just he does whatever he has to do. You know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, again, it was like you said. It wasn't an Odell Beckham style one-handed, but it was great hands in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And he protected the ball as he was coming down, so there's no question about possession. It just shows what a talent the guy is.
Yeah, I mean, he is a mature by beyond his years type receiver, and I know he's in
Absolutely.
his third season, but like plays like that's what you usually trust the 10-year veteran with. You
And he
know.
was doing this as a rookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't look a lot different now than he did 2 years ago. I
No,
don't
he
think.
really doesn't. Little
I mean that in
things.
a good way.
Yeah, little things, but like those are good, and that's because he does things like work on his technique in the off season with veterans. So he had a great
Yeah,
day. Thomas showed up much better today, I thought. Logan Thomas.
5 for 45.
Yeah,
Solid stats for a tight end.
yeah. And of course, we got to talk about J.D. McKissick's, big receiving day, mostly off of that one reception on the two-play drive.
Yeah,
You know,
it was really more J.D. McKissick's big play than anything
yeah.
else.
Well, but so he had, other than that, he had 4 for 40, which is still pretty good. But
Well, when 4 for 40, it's more like 4 for 27
oh, was that one catch
because the
that
long
much?
was 56, and he was 5 for 83 at the long of
Oh,
56,
I
which
didn't. I
leaves
thought
four for
that. I thought
27.
that catch was like in about 40 yards. I didn't realize it was 56.
56.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That. But I mean, you want to talk about just a single great play? He got hit in stride and just had nothing but space there. That was a perfect wheel route.
You know what? I think I'm not trying to go back to Heineke necessarily, but all these guys play better when Heineke's been in there. I
Mm-hmm.
think the coaching staff has this weird, somewhat unjustified in terms of NFL production, aside from 2 games, but this weird confidence in him. I don't mean it sounds. I don't mean to be negative about it. They have confidence in this guy. They see him day after day after day,
Yeah.
and he just does things that other Washington Redskins quarterbacks haven't. Even like Kirk Cousins put up all these numbers, but he never inspired anybody, and he
No.
never made any plays when it mattered. And he was always talking about his process and this and that, and not about wins. I'll tell you, watching Heineke after that interception, that guy cares.
Mm-hmm.
You
The
know, he,
you, the going on the sideline, he's angry.
yeah,
When Kirk would go on the sideline, he would pout, right?
that
Like,
right, yes.
and Taylor got mad at himself. I'm sure somebody calmed him down, but then what's he do? He goes out and he leads you down for the win. That's the difference, right?
I
I
just
mean,
will never forget that game. I can't remember what game it was when Washington lost and uh, and Cousins came off the field and said, "Well, I followed my process, so I was
hmm
happy with my play." Remember that? I
yeah,
don't even
yeah, I
remember what
remember
game it
that.
was.
That
That's
that
just what a
became his
horrible thing.
mantra. It's about the process. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah
it's
blah blah.
just terrible. And so like this guy Heineke, I mean, in my head, I think I said on the game preview, I was going to give him 1 week to make me believe. I believe, you know, look what he did. He produced
hmm
numbers, and he won the game.
Well, I
You know,
mean, I wrote this recently on our blog, in responding to somebody's comment where I said I need to see him put up numbers, just this week. Next, we need to see is he still able to do this in 3 4 weeks when teams have tape on him. That's the next step, and then we can talk about maybe he's the answer for a season, a few years, whatever it is.
well, that and he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, and then health, of course. Yeah. Um, what else is there? Well, we didn't
Well,
talk
I
about
mean,
the running game.
I want
Uh,
to talk about, yeah, Antonio Gibson.
he had
I
a
mean, I
good
think
day. Not
he
great, but
looks more and more like a running back, a real running back every day.
one thing I'm noticing with him, he's still got to work on his how he carries the ball a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Like uh, he was keeping it on the inside shoulder. Like he favors his right arm. I'm assuming he's right-handed. Even when he's going to the other side of the field, and it should be in his left arm. And then I've noticed time to time he kind of lets it get a little loose, like an old Tiki Barber when he had fumble problems versus when he stopped having fumble problems. You know,
Didn't Bill Parcells like threaten him, or not Bill Parcells,
so
but
Coughlin, I think it was
yeah,
Coughlin, like
like
made
threatened him
him
with
like
his life.
put like
Yeah,
sticky glue on him for like a month or something.
yeah, something strange like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, where he told him just never let the ball like hold it like this all the time or whatever it was.
I think that's just kind of the next step for Antonio, because remember, he's not a running back.
No, yeah,
He's
yeah,
learning how to be a running back on the fly, and he's doing an outstanding job. I mean, I'll take it any day of the year. Yeah, he didn't have 100 yards, only got 13 carries, but he averaged 5.3 yards per carry. I'll take
yeah.
it, you know.
Uh,
And more importantly, if you notice, a good chunk of that yardage came in the fourth quarter when they needed him.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that too. I mean, I think he only had 3 or 4 carries in the fourth quarter, but at
But they
least
were
one
all
of them was a
important.
10-yard run.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, like the thing is, he unlike Saquon Barkley, who all his yardage came on one play. Gibson didn't have that one big play this time. That 5-3 is like he got about 5 yards every carry.
Well, I've got this. So, since I'm the stats nerd here
Yeah.
and I track this stuff, Gibson talking about was 3 for 12 in the first quarter. That's 4 yards a carry, 7 for 28 at halftime, then 10 for 52 in the third quarter, and then he ended up 13 for 69. So we had 3 carries for 17 yards there in the fourth quarter.
So that's
which
almost
is
six. That's just under 6 yards a carry.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what they needed.
That's
Saquon,
exactly what you need.
Saquon, and it just isn't with it yet. He just isn't.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
I mean, I'd like to see them get Patterson more involved so that, I'd like to be one of those teams that has 100 yards rushing collectively every time because that's always a good thing. But, and I kind of feel like this is where Gibson is. He's going to be around a 60 to 70 yard a game kind of guy for a while he develops.
Yeah, I think there'll be games like last week when he gets 20 carries, but I don't think he's going to average that. I did notice that DeAndre Carter had a carry. Did you notice that?
Yeah, one carry for 2 yards. I don't know if that's the best way to get him involved, but I like that they're trying to get him involved.
Yeah, it was just it's certainly a throwing something different into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go anywhere, but I mean, it was still a good thing to try. I didn't even see Jarrett Patterson get on the field.
I don't think he was. I don't know if I didn't look at the inactives list. Was he active?
He was active. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was just playing teams.
I always put the inactive list. If anybody wonders, the inactive list is always on our chat room page. Our live
I know. I just hadn't
page.
taken a look at it.
I know. I'm telling the audience.
Yeah. The one interesting thing looking at that rushing stat line, Taylor Heineke only had 4 carries for 6 yards. Do you think he was trying to protect himself a little? Do you think that because we know he likes to run? We've seen
I don't
that before.
I don't think so. I mean, he had a lot of passes. It was a passing game. I don't think has a runner's mentality. I just think he's willing to do it when he has to. Like Daniel Jones clearly has a runner's mentality.
Yeah, he does.
And some of those were design carries for him. That's not who Taylor Heineke is. He's just a dude who's going to go out there and throw his caution to the wind when he has to. And I just don't think he really had to do that this week. They didn't get a ton of pressure on him. He was only sacked once.
Mm-hmm.
They got some pressure, but not a ton. So he was able to sit back there and mostly he threw 46 passes and completed 74% of them.
Yeah.
Didn't have to run much.
Yeah, you're right. Well, okay, so we're getting towards the end here. Big picture, I know we got to do game balls, but I will say I do think there's a lot this team needs to clean up. We got Buffalo coming up. We got a lot of hard games coming up. I'm not expecting those to become wins, but if they want to be competitive, they've got to clean up this defense. I'm still not a big fan of Scott Turner's play calling. It
was a lot better today.
It got better as the game went on, but like the first 15 play thing that they always script, it seemed awful. Whoever's doing that with him needs to change the script up.
They just didn't execute well in the first quarter at all. Offensively.
They didn't do it last week either, which is a problem.
Right.
So, things like that need to be cleaned up. But overall, you know what? You eked out a big win here.
Listen, this was an important game. Starting 0-2.
Yeah.
At both home losses, including one divisional loss, that would have been a tough hole to. I mean, yes, it's only week 2 of 17, but that's a terrible way to start. And so, being 1-1 and getting a win at home, a division win at home, is a pretty big win. It's about as big a win as you can get in week 2. Say it like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And they put up 30 points. When was the last time we did that?
It seems like forever. I mean, I think they probably did it at least once last year, maybe. I don't know, but I mean,
I'm gonna look real quick if I can find the.
We'll vamp while Alex is looking here, but listen. Overall thoughts. We knew it was going to be a tough, hard-fought game. Mm-hmm. We told you that it was either going to be a Giants blowout or a game like this, and for once in Washington's miserable Thursday night history, they played
won.
well. They pulled it off. They won. Thank God.
So we put up 41 against the Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, I knew there was one game in there.
Yeah. So that was the last time. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do game balls then.
Okay.
All right. Let's do defense. Well, you can do yours first, I guess. But I think defense is much more interesting because I think we both know where we're going with offense.
Well, I'm giving, yeah. I mean, Taylor Heineke's getting my offensive game ball. With an honorable mention to Ricky Seals-Jones for an awesome first catch for Washington, touchdown,
Sure.
important touchdown. But yeah, clearly for me, Taylor Heineke was the offensive game ball. Yeah, it's a little bit tougher on defense. A little bit, a little bit tough to really kind of know who to pick. I guess I'm gonna probably go. See, I was gonna go John Allen, but I just spent 15 minutes criticizing the defensive line. So
Sure.
it seems a bit inconsistent. Man, I don't know who to. I guess I can't. I'm gonna be too much of a hypocrite if I give it to a defensive lineman. So I'm gonna go Landon Collins. Landon Collins, 7 tackles. He had a good quality stop right in the beginning, and Saquon Barkley dead on hit that I thought set a good tone, for the early part of the game. So from a lack of someone else to give it to, I'm going to give it to Landon Collins.
Yeah, I think no surprise. I'm gonna go. Heineke on offense. That was a great game by him. He put this team on his back and basically won this thing. On I'm sorry, on defense, you're right. It is a very tough one to pick because
Nobody really deserves it.
no one deserves it. Honestly, I mean, I guess Kendall Fuller led the team in tackles and got a sack, even though he got beaten up through the air a bunch. I guess I'll give it to him. I mean, he did.
You're gonna do it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. He did not have a great game as a corner, but you got that big sack, so I'll give you it for that.
And I'm gonna have a hearty handshake to Dustin Hopkins for going 3 for 3, even though he had a do-over. He went 3 for 3, got the game-winning field goal.
3 for 3 with a little asterisk.
Yeah,
that's fine.
He gets a hearty handshake.
Yes. Our special teams hearty handshake.
There you go. There you go.
All right, guys. I think that wraps it up for this late night episode.
It's very late.
Hope you enjoy your Friday because I'm sure I will. I'm gonna show up to work late. I already just know it. It's gonna happen. So, all right. We'll talk to you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.